What is up, ladies and gentle nerds? It's your boy Graham, also known as HamHawks42 on the internet, and we are here with another edition of Overthinking MTG. Let's go ahead and hit that random card button and let's take a look at what we are looking at today. Oh, nice! I think this might be one of our first silver bordered cards, and we are looking at Steel Squirrel, which is from Unstable. It is a 1/1 for 2 artifact creature, Squirrel. And whenever you roll a 5 or higher on a die, Steel Squirrel gets plus X until end of turn, where X is the result. And then you can pay 6, roll a 6-sided die. Nice. You know what? I love this. I gotta say, I have some thoughts on this because, well, for one, actually, this is touching on a lot of thoughts. Actually, I'm kind of surprised how many like thoughts and feelings I have. Special thanks to the Steel Squirrel. I had no idea that that was going to be this thing was going to be a hot button issue for me or a hot button card for me. But let's go there. Actually, before we dive too much into it, let's go ahead and look at the flavor text. Where does a mechanical squirrel hide its nuts? And the answer in a bolt hole. Oh, that's so bad. That is such a bad pun, but at the same time, it's beautiful. Oh my goodness, you put a dad joke on a magic card with a robotic squirrel. I'm game. I'm down. Absolutely. So I love the mechanic on this guy. The idea that whenever you roll a die, it gets a bonus. Like whenever you get a so you can get a 5 or a 6 on a die. And then the pay 6 roll a 6-sided die. That feels like it's strictly for limited, like a limited mana sink for late in the game. But that's something that it's a bad value, so you're not generally going to do that. Especially because there's a really good chance you're going to get truly nothing on it. But it's unstable, so what the hell? Why not, right? Um, Sorry, I'm just still blown away. So the one thing that I find really funny, as I'm recording this, Unsanctioned was just, I don't think it's actually come out yet, but it's been spoiled and it's going to be coming soon. So, we're at kind of we're in a space where the silver bordered sets, and if you're not familiar what I mean by that, silver bordered cards are not tournament legal. They are not legal actually in any sanctioned format. They're not legal in Commander. They're not legal in standard, modern, vintage, you name it, they are not legal. They are just 100% off the table in those formats. And so I bet you're thinking, what the hell? Then why does it exist if I'm not allowed to play it? Well, you're not allowed to play it in constructed formats that are designed to be like serious Magic the Gathering. That said, there are some really bonkers cards that have been printed that are legal in there that you'd think, wait, really? And the example I'd like to throw out there, Goblin Games. Look it up. It's bonkers and it makes absolutely no sense. And then you look at it again and realize that that card has a black border and you're like, what the hell? Anyway, still, Steel Squirrel here, unstable. The silver boarded sets, they are designed to be funny. That is the first and foremost. They are designed to be humorous. The goal is to make you smile and to make you laugh. Imagine if so they are sets that are designed to be self-contained. When you are playing with silver bordered cards, you are allowed to play with other silver bordered cards. And if your play group around the kitchen table is cool with you playing silver bordered cards, go for it. I mean, there was a time back in the day when I had a play group with, we were very loose with it. And the very, very first silver bordered set was called Unglued. And it was printed back in, I think, the late 90s. Like, it's been around for a very long time. And it had a bunch of fun stuff on there, and one of them was actually an alternate win con card that was pretty brilliant and like almost impossible to pull off. But a friend of mine had it in his deck. It was called The Cheese Stands Alone, and it was an enchantment for I think 4 or 5. And if it was your only permanent on the battlefield, you won the game. And there was really no way to get to like if you had enough mana to cast it, like you clearly had some land, and so it was anyway. So it was a weird thing to like, and so building out a way to actually win with that. I never actually saw him pull it off, but I had a friend of mine who had it in a deck and wanted to figure out a way to make it work. And it's like, hey man, if you can figure that out, go for it. Like, it's it's silly, but like we're not playing for prizes here. It's not serious. Go for it. You can have a silver bordered card in there. He also had one that was based off of a colander, and it forced him to talk in a silly voice. And again, we were like, "Hey, whatever, man. I don't really care. Go crazy." And so cards like that, that allow you to just kind of have some fun. And it's great when you draft it, so you can all draft silver bordered cards, and before you know it, people are giving each other high fives and they're making silly voices. There's a creature that has a that has an effect called Denim Walk. There's a Minotaur that it is unblockable if your opponent is wearing jeans. So before you know it, people are taking their pants off and stuff is just getting crazy dumb. So it's silly, it's fun. It is the idea for serious Magic players. If you just let your hair down and just get silly and just get loose and just try to have a fun experience and stop focusing on winning the game, you get the silver bordered cards. Personally, I'm of the impression that silver bordered cards should by and large be legal in Commander. I think that that would be fun. I think it would be a good time. I feel like that is the right atmosphere for these types of effects and these types of cards. So if I had somebody who, like if I'm in a play group and somebody wanted to run silver bordered cards in their Commander deck, I am all for it all day, every day, 100%. Um, let's go for it. I think it's great. So Steel Squirrel here touches on a couple of points that the mechanics that are designed specifically for silver bordered. There are certain things in Wizards R&D where they have identified these effects can go on black bordered cards, which are the ones that are tournament legal, standard legal, all that stuff. What we think of as Magic the Gathering today. Then there are this other set of effects that they will allow go onto silver bordered cards, but they will not put them on black bordered cards. And we actually see a couple of them showcased here. One is the creature type Squirrel. For some reason, they will not print squirrels on black bordered cards anymore. And the reason I know that is not because I've noticed a trend. It's because I heard Mark Rosewater, the head of Wizards R&D, say it on a podcast. So I know for a fact that squirrels are now relegated to silver bordered exclusively. Now I know what you're saying, Graham. I had a squirrel nest deck back in 2000. What the hell are you talking about? Squirrels have been legal in black bordered for years. Yeah, they used to be. They used to be printed in black bordered sets all the time, but for some reason they decided, nah, squirrels are too funny. We need to make those silver bordered. Whatever. Same is true for Beebles, by the way. It's a creature type that they used to have in Black Bordered. There were just these really silly little things. And actually, Bouncing Beebles, look that card up. That is a card that looks like it should be silver bordered just based on the art, because it looks like a bunch of little jelly bean people like bouncing around some kind of laboratory. It's bonkers. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense, and it's black bordered. Um, and it's like a 2/2 for 3 that's unblockable if your opponent controls an artifact or something like that. Like it's fine. Like the card is okay. It's not great, but the artwork is just goofy. Like it's something that you would expect to see on like a children's cartoon, not a Magic the Gathering card. Anyway, so Steel Squirrel here. So squirrels, that is a creature type that is now silver bordered exclusive. So here we go. We have that. I think that's kind of silly personally. I like squirrels being in my black bordered stuff, but that's just me. Again, actually, I mentioned Squirrel Nest specifically because I thought that was an amazing enchantment. It made me really happy back in the day. It had a lot of cool uses, and it was one of the first enchantments that I saw that really produced an obscene number of tokens. It was an enchantment that you could put on a land, and then you could tap that land and create a 1/1 squirrel token. And so it allowed you to, change. So if later in the game when you didn't need as much mana, the thought was you can start creating tokens instead. You can get a couple little 1/1 creatures as some added benefit. And then the idea is late in the game, what good are those 1/1 creatures? Well, there's a lot of great things you can do with that. The first one that comes to mind is anything that allows you to untap that land and do it repeatedly. It was one of the first times that I saw somebody really just go off an infinite combo was using Squirrel Nest. It works. It can be done. Um, I don't remember exactly how they had set it up. I think it had something to do with like Cloud of Fairies or the those. There are a handful of creatures that were available back in, I think, Urza's block, that when they came into play, you could untap a number of lands equal to their casting cost. So the idea was you got them for free, except things kind of broke once you had lands that produced multiple mana. Uh, yeah, that got a little broken really fast, actually. So, in any event, I digress like I do. So Squirrel Nest, you could create a bunch of tokens, presumably create an obscene amount of tokens if you had any way to untap it with something like, say, Intruder Alarm. Um, yeah, it got so nasty so fast. Anyway, so okay, so we have squirrels. I like squirrels. I think they're cool. I think they're fun. They're now silver bordered exclusive. All right, that is what it is. That was the decision that Wizards made. They control the creative space, and if they want if they want squirrels to be exclusive, if they want squirrels and chickens to just be the unsets, the silver bordered kind of staples, okay, I can appreciate them focusing on that and sticking to it. So there's nothing wrong with it. I kind of miss my squirrel nest, to be honest. I'd love to see that reprinted just because it's fun. Um, all right. And so the other thing that Steel Squirrel here has that we don't see in Black Bordered is caring about rolling dice. Well, rolling a die in this case. Six-sided die or six-sided dice are not an option for Black Bordered cards. They have decided that they will never put dice rolling in a Black Bordered set. Now, to some degree, I can understand how often do people have dice on them. Well, if I'm running a card that cares about dice, it's my responsibility to bring dice to the table. And let's be honest, how many people like how many Magic the Gathering players are also Dungeons and Dragons players? I know I am, and so I have all kinds of dice sitting around. I have all kinds of different sided. I have a ton of different sides. I have a ton of different colors even. Like you could have cards that care about rolling 10-sided die or 8-sided die or 4-sided die. I got you covered. It's not a big deal. We can make it happen. Meanwhile, so I find it interesting that die rolling is not okay, but coin flipping is. And let's be honest, what is coin flipping if not a two-sided die? That's all it is. That's it. That's all it is. Heads and tails is just one or two or 0 and 1. I don't know if it's a binary thing, but at the end of the day, it's a random selection of two numbers. Well, what is a six-sided die roll? It's a random selection of one of six numbers. So what is the big difference? Why is one okay and considered flavorful within the game and the other is not? I understand the moment you have six sides, you have more variance rather than two. Okay, and I can appreciate that generally speaking, Magic is supposed to be a game about skill, not as much about luck. But luck-based chaos is definitely something that we see. It's out there. It's real. In a situation where cards like Warp World exist, or Chaos Warp, or Reweave, or Proteus Staff. I mean, all of these cards have this crazy luck-based. Hell, it's a card game. At the end of the day, it's all luck. All of it comes down to luck and variance. It just is. No matter how well tuned your deck is, no matter how well you play it, at the end of the day, sometimes you just draw the wrong card. It's luck. Every single time you reach for that top card and draw that top card, it's luck. You have ways to mitigate it, you have ways to manipulate it, you have ways to ensure you have better odds of getting what you need, but there's always a chance that you won't. There's always a chance you're going to hit something bad. And so the idea of saying no, six is a D6 is too much variance. That doesn't, I don't know, that feels kind of hollow for me. I mean, they have it on the silver bordered cards. They've accepted that it's a thing. There's some cards on silver border that require you to do like throw the card or like um, stack. There's actually one in the new unsanctioned set called Boom Stacker that you actually have to stack dice on top of each other on top of the card, and if they ever fall down, it deals a certain amount of damage based on the number of dice on it or something. It's one of those where like the idea is I don't know, like that kind of a thing is clearly silver bordered. There are cards that allow players from outside the game to influence your game in one way or another. There are cards that like there are cards that interact with whether or not somebody passing by gives you a high five. Like, okay, that kind of stuff, that is outside the scope of the card game. That's outside abounds. That's clearly silver border. That's what silver border is all about. I'm cool with that. That being a silver border stuff, I'm glad it exists. I'm glad it is an element of the game that if you want to go there, you can. I think that's really cool. I like that. Why is rolling a die in that realm? I don't know. I don't really see the point for it. But at the same time, I also don't feel super strong. I don't feel super strongly about pushing die rolls into black border stuff either. Like I don't know, it's fine the way it is, but it's one of those where they make a point of going there. Why not print some standard legal die roll stuff? I don't know. I think that could be fun, but that's just me. Actually, that said, now that I'm thinking about it, we do have cards that have random effects like this. Hackdos, what is it? Hackdos, the unmarred or unscarred, something like that, is a representation of Achilles, and he comes in where the way it's worded on the card, you randomly select a number between 1 and 3. I mean, how do you do that? How do you decide a random number between 1 and 3 if not rolling a d6? And if you get 1 or 2, it's I, I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. You roll a d6, 1 or 2, you get 1, 3 or 4, you get 2, 5 or 6, you say 3, and there you go. You've randomly selected, Hackdos's weakness. Um, yeah. All in all, I feel like die rolling. It's there. You see it. There's enough randomness in the game that I don't think it hurts anybody to have. Um, the one issue I can see there is in limited. That's one thing I can imagine where if you were to run limited events, you'd have to make sure that dice were available for folks, and I can see that being a little bit of a hassle. So, all right. Meanwhile, with coin flips, you can reasonably assume someone is going to have a coin in their pocket, even though nowadays that's not even becoming a guarantee anymore. Because let's be honest, who carries cash? It's just not common anymore. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I say all this, and I have probably about $3 worth of pennies in my in my center console in my car right now. So I don't know. It's all good. Anyway, so Steel Squirrel. Clearly, I have some thoughts. The squirrel itself is fine. It's a 1/1. It's a 1/1 for two that cares about die rolls. Neat. If you're doing die roll stuff, that could be a fun little fun piece. I know there are a number of different cards in Silver Border that trigger die rolls and do kind of fun things like that. So it has the potential to synergize with some of that stuff. So I don't know. There's probably a place for it. But yeah, clearly this little guy, it's got a nice dad joke that got me giggling in the flavor text. And all in all, I don't know. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Clearly, I have some thoughts. So this has been fun. Thanks so much for sticking with me as we discuss the steel squirrel and everything that the steel squirrel reminds me of, which turns out to be more than I thought. Um, yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate it as always. I hope you have a wonderful day, week, year. And as I'm recording this, we are in the middle of Corona Palooza. I hope you are doing well. I hope you are staying safe, and I hope that you're just taking care of those you love by staying as far away from them as possible. All right, guys, I'll catch you next time.